they do here. First and goal. Rodgers hangs in the pocket, throwing into a lot of traffic, and it's caught for the touchdown by.
And as always, you can follow us on Twitter at First and Goal Pod. Follow the guys. Jay is at UPJ33. Dave is at Steak and Cheese. And the fantasy wonder man himself, Dylan, is at DylanBusby1. Email all your questions and comments to us at firstandgoalpodcast@yahoo.com, and you will make the show live during our mailbag segment. Again, that's firstandgoalpodcast@yahoo.com.
Don't turn your back on the wolf pack. Don't turn your back on the wolf pack. 3, 2, 1.
And welcome, everybody, to another live edition of First and Goal, the matchup show, with me, your founder and producer, Jay Andrews. Yes, it's a new tag. And as always, down in Georgia, your host with the most, it's Dave.
On First and Goal Nation. What is going on, folks? It is a pleasure to be here. We have a big night of a preview for matchup of Green Bay versus the 49ers. And we have our guest representing the 49ers, Javi, representing Fourth and Gold Podcast.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Oh, we appreciate you, man.
Dude.
Oh, no worries, no worries. It's always a good day to talk football, and it's always a good day to talk Green Bay versus 49ers football. It's a long history. It's a really good conversation.
Yes, it
Yes.
is. But, before we get going too far, we do have a little bit of breaking news, Dave. Are you going to do it?
Breaking news? Do you mean you getting your article published on Back to the Future?
Yeah, it's kind of
We have
like
a writer in the house, folks.
Yeah. And I got another article dropping in the morning about LaFleur.
That's huge, man. I love it. You're expanding your football knowledge, putting it on paper. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
But also, there is other breaking news in Packers land.
Okay, I'll hit the button again.
Cole Madison, the backup guard today, which came back after a year off, tore his ACL in practice this week. It really sucks because his story was really awesome for him to come back. He took a year off because one of his best friends in college, his football teammate, committed suicide while he was there, and he had to mentally get right, and he did. He came back. Packers allowed him to come back, fight for a spot. He did. And it's just sad to see him end it that way. I hate ACL injuries because they end everything. Like, for that year, they just end it. There's no coming back. I know they're more technologically advanced, but, man, it sucks to see that. But with that being said, let's get on to good news. Let's go ahead and start this off. Javi, we always like to build people up when they come on the show.
Yeah.
A little bit of
Are you talking ragtime?
No humbleness. No humble pie. You build yourself up. What are you a part of? What have you done? Build yourself up, brother. Go ahead.
Thanks. What I did was I started this podcast about 6 months ago with a buddy of mine, Matt, who's my co-host on the show, and it's taken off by leaps and bounds. We started off just him and I talking, started reaching out to former 49er players, and we're starting to get more
Oop, Javi, I think we might have lost you, buddy. Patience with us, folks.
far more
there he is.
exceeded my expectations thus far. So,
Hey, Javi,
Oh.
go if you can, go ahead and restart for us, brother. You went ahead and froze up on your end.
you guys there?
Yep, yeah, go ahead and restart and start over on the break time. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. All right. Okay. Yeah, no. We started the podcast about 6 months ago. Started off as just me and my buddy, kind of like what you guys are doing. You guys just talking shop, and then it's kind of grown into this um, huge thing now. Via Twitter, and then we've reached out to some former players, got in contact with Ian Williams, Adam Snyder, former guard. We just recently spoke with Eric Davis last night.
Super jealous.
Just about. Yeah, just just about the state of the Niners, the things how things have progressed. We've gotten in contact with some really big folks in Arizona. Cameron Cox, he works for NBC Sports in Arizona. Joe Fan in Seattle. It's gotten really really big, and it's exceeded my expectations all the way through. It's a blessing to be where we are, and hopefully something more comes out of this. If not, I'm still going to talk about my Niners and have fun doing it. You know what I mean?
Of course. Of course. We're glad that your podcast has taken off because it's exactly like you said what we're doing. We're doing it from the Packers side, but we're trying to cover Packers and a little bit of the NFL. So that way you can get a bigger crowd. And, same for us, man. It's been leaps and bounds. We've had a couple NFL players on, and it just seems to, like, before you know it, it just catches fire,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just do it for fun to start off with. Like him and I just did it for fun. Like, hey man, just football. And next thing you know, we're like, hey, yeah, we want to come on as a guest. We're like, what? Like, because you don't think it would grow to that level, but it did, and it's awesome to see it blossom the way it does. And I know for your show it as well. Hell, getting Eric Davis on there, stud corner. God, that's such an awesome thing to have him on. But let's go ahead and get meat to the potatoes, Javi. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to start with question number 1. Packers and 49ers have a lot of history, like you mentioned earlier, and they have a lot of moments connecting all the way from the mid-'90s all the way up to the 2000s, all the way up to draft classes, all the way up to where Packers lost to Kaepernick and got smoked in the playoffs. What are some of your favorite moments from Packers 49ers rivalry? It's fine if it's all 49ers too, because you're a 49ers fan. We just want to know what yours are.
Yeah, and most recently, I was in the military. So when I got out of the service is when the Niners started to get good again, right around that 2010, 2011, and then, I had watching that NFC divisional game with Cap went off for 181 yards. That was the most recent, I guess the best memory I had recently with the Niners and the Packers. Previously, before T.O. caught that pass, I was a miserable child. I will say that because Brett Favre would come in on a playoff game, and I knew the game was over. It was just, I'm not stupid, and Brett Favre is a legend. He's Hall of Famer, and the Steve Young, the catch too, that's big for 49er fans.
Yeah.
T.O. had a terrible game, and he catches the ball when he needed to catch it. That's a big deal. There's so many, even just regular season games, the Mud Bowl that happened in Green Bay. I want to say it was like 96 or 97 around that time. It was hard-nosed, sloppy, pound the ball football, which was really, really great to see at that time. And, with Steve and Brett going back and forth, and you guys had guys like Dorsey Levens and Gilbert Brown, and those guys were awesome players. And so most of my memories of the Packers and the Niners have been miserable, but most recently they've been a lot better because of obviously the Cap playoff games, the 2 playoff games, and then the 2 regular season games, one with Alex Smith early on in that 2012-13 season, I believe it was, and then of course the Cap game early on when they had Anquan Bolden catch like 1 million passes for 1 million yards in that game. So more recently it's been good, but as a child or younger, me being much younger, I hated the Packers, and it was the love hate
a lot
thing.
On here.
Yeah, it was a love hate thing, with Brett Favre, and they made my weekends miserable watching them play my Niners.
Well, you know what? I gotta come out and say there's one specific moment. If the Niners didn't do this, Packers wouldn't be where we are today.
Oh, here we go.
I have to thank you about passing on Aaron Rodgers because he fell 23 spots to us. And that's the thing is I always have to remind NFC North fans. They always say, oh, yeah, you had Aaron Rodgers back-to-back. No, guys. Lions, Vikings, and Bears all passed on Aaron Rodgers. A lot of teams did. And I really think he holds that grudge against 23 teams still. And
he should.
Yeah, I mean, I understand a lot of players would, but man, even not even just teams. Like if certain players edge him a wrong way, especially if they're like on the team and go to a different team, man, there's a grudge and it stays there. And I like it because it adds extra fire. But one of my other favorite games was you mentioned the Mud Bowl. Oh my God! Like if that wasn't talking about pound the ball, hard nose, like you said, just gritty old school football. That's what it means to me as a 49ers Packers rivalry, especially that last playoff game that happened where it came down to a field goal. Crosby missed it, but it was a hard nosed football game. It always has been when those two teams has played, you know? It's just always been a big moment whenever they faced.
Yeah, and then
So,
they have that iconic photo together with Steve and Brett, kind of just
oh, God,
embracing
yeah.
the center of the
Two
field.
Hall of Famers. Yeah, it's amazing. It's part of one of the Packers lore and 49ers lore together in NFL Hall of Fame history on that. So from the history against Green Bay, who is your all-time favorite Packer or Packers, if you have some, like you have a soft spot for?
Oh man, I have a soft spot for Dorsey Levens and Antonio Freeman, Gilbert Brown.
The
Those
90s
guys
Patriots.
were, yeah. Then like I said,
Yeah.
as a kid growing up watching, the Packers were always on. The Niners were always on. So you watch everybody, and I'm still that way now. I still watch the Packers. I still watch. It's unfortunate I even say this, but I watch the Cowboys just because that's who they are. But no, Dorsey Levens. I just love the way Dorsey Levens used to run. His physical nature. He had some great moves, shifty spin move. He'll hit the hole and get after
Such a
it.
long stride, too.
Oh, it was beautiful though. Like
Yeah.
once he got going, it's really hard to catch him. Gilbert Brown was just a monster, especially when we played the Niners would play them. So I had him. I had a love-hate relationship with him. And then of course it's Brett Favre. If you don't like Brett Favre, I don't think you like football. So Brett was just. Man, and then Brett was at the most recent Niners game against Carolina doing his whole. I guess he's doing something on the side now, but he had a big interview with George Kittle. So I was kind of weirded out that he was in our locker room. I was like, why is he in there?
Is he getting dirt on the floor? What is he doing?
Yeah,
Why is he there?
what are you doing? You just putting some Green Bay magic in there or something? But no, yeah, Brett Favre, Dorsey Levens, Antonio Freeman, Gilbert Brown, those guys were excellent. And then even Mike Holmgren, he's got to be part of that list of just really great coaches and
One
guys.
of the big coaching trees in the NFL.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed his teams and how they came every week and got after it. So yeah, the Packers. I mean, like I said, if you don't like Brett Favre and guys like Antonio Freeman, I don't think you really like football, to be honest with you.
Well, see, I got a couple guys for the 49ers. Like everyone loves Montana and Rice and guys like that. Of course, I've got a couple guys that I know some other teams may not like them, but I love them. I always loved how they played J.J. Stokes and Garrison Hurst. I love those two players. I don't know what it was. It's just whenever they had the ball in their hands for the 49ers, it always seemed like a lot of the attention went to T.O. or Steve Young or Jerry Rice or Montana. But, man, Garrison Hurst helped put that 90s 49ers rushing game on the map.
Yeah, and had he not gotten hurt after the Packers game, had he not got hurt in that Falcons game, following the Packers divisional game, we most likely go to the Super Bowl and play the Broncos in that Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Garrison Hurst was very key, and yeah, Garrison Hurst gets as a warm spot in a lot of 49er fans' hearts.
Well, we know talent. I mean, and we love players like that. I mean, probably one of my favorite linebackers ever to touch the field, number 52, Patrick Willis. I loved watching that dude every play. He was a 3-down linebacker. I loved everything about him.
Yeah, the Niners have been blessed with linebackers. From Ken Norton to Patrick Willis, DeMauro Bowman, and now we got Fred Warner, who's coming on real strong. Hopefully he takes up that mantle or gets right in that. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be on the level of Willis or Bowman, but if he can slide in that spot, next to Norton and be in that tier, the Niners have been blessed at that position. And yeah, Patrick Willis is, I got so much memorabilia of Patrick Willis in this room, from jerseys, autographed jerseys, photos. It's he's one of my